It runs. I dynoed it. It made power. It's alive still. If you haven't been here since the beginning, basically I got my 13-to-1 turbo motor deal all ready to go. We put on the dyno last week on Sunday, blew the head gasket clean out of it. Go back and watch the videos if you want the full story. Basically, we ditched the stock casting heads I had, the 823s. We went to some TFS 255s. We took it back to the dyno, same issue. So I brought it home. It kind of sat. We were trying to make Cincy Street Nights, which was this past weekend, Saturday. It was Thursday night. I just called it, and then all of a sudden I got a wild hair at my butt, and I said, I still want to go to Cincy. What do we do? So I still had laying around this 5.3 block, in which I kind of alluded to at the end of the last video. I said, screw it. We got basically 24 hours before we have to be on the road. Let's pull that out. Let's get this put together. I've got everything here, and we will take that. So I'm over here. It's Thursday night. I'm cleaning everything up. Josh is over putting a set of 799 heads together to go back on this thing. And I'm cleaning a piston, and I hear a noise. And I think, oh my, that doesn't sound good. Well, what it was that. Set of rod bearings just completely toasted. So at that point, I said, okay, you know what? As hardcore as I like to be, at some point, you got to throw in the towel. So I said, okay, fine, we're not going. Just so I could wake up the next day to find out they were canceling the event due to rain. I'm like, of course, went through all that and they canceled it. Oh well, no worries. So I took Friday, Saturday off basically, cleaned my garage, cleaned the shed, and just kind of mulled it over as of what I wanted to do. So I still had these borrowed TFS 255s from Steven, 370 is still in the car. So I've never been one to retorque heads. Obviously watching the last two videos, I said, okay, let's retorque the heads, and let's go straight for methanol. We had been trying to do this on 85, and Steven had some lingering concerns the last two dynos that 13-to-1, what we're trying to do, the 85 just isn't going to cut it, especially my stuff that I get from in town at some local random gas station that's probably E50. So I said, okay, I'm going to retorque the heads, we're going to put methanol in it, and we're going to switch to a set of these Decas that I just bought instead of these Bosches. The Bosches had recently been flowed, but they have a lot of history on them. A lot of things that happened. Basically, every spring I have to beat on these things. I don't. Adam at Streetcar Injection has to beat on these things with a hammer to get them to come back to life. So they're a little suspect the whole time. So I said, all right, let's put the Decas in. Let's retorque the heads, and let's put it on methanol and go for it. Well, while we're retorquing the heads, the side that had lifted on the last dyno, I got a solid 3/8 turn out of every one in the middle row. So now is that because it lifted the head? That's a side effect? I don't know. Or should I have been retorquing these the whole time? I don't know. I've never used, these are the ARP 2000s. It's the first time I've used them. I've always heard about guys retorquing heads, and I've never been like a believer. I didn't have a reason not to, but I didn't have a reason to do it. So we retorqued it, put the Decas in, went down there, and the thing was incredible. It made so much power so quickly on the methanol that we ended up stopping at 15 pounds because in my head when we put this motor in, I thought 1200 was a good number to keep it alive. So yes, it's a built motor. That's a pretty loose term. It's a 370, so it's already 30 over 6 liter. It's got a stock crank and an LS2 crank, and it's got a set of Comstar rods. So to me, 1200 was a safe number, and I was like, wow, great. Couple whacks in, we're already there. And then we just continued to flog this thing over and over and over again. So I am confident this thing's fixed. As to what the final answer is, as to what was wrong with this thing, I'm leaning more towards I was being way too optimistic thinking that I could do this on 85, and it should have been on methanol from the start, which is dumb because that was my plan, was to be on methanol. For some reason I thought it'd be safer if we started on 85 and then transitioned to methanol when we got to a higher power number. Living to learn, I guess. So if you've got a high compression motor without an intercooler, keyword there, probably just go right from methanol. So now where does that leave us? We've got the 370 in the car still. We've got this 5.3 LC9 I was going to put in that has the bad rods. So that one's pretty much dead to us. We do still have the aluminum 6 liter though. So as jazzed as I am about, I have a built-ish motor with a stock crank in the car with a nice set of heads. I don't want to completely abandon the SBE life. So I'm hoping that we can continue to race the car with the 370 in it while I put this together. So I still have everything left over from the SBE days. I don't have the cam, it's sitting down there. But I have all this stuff. As you can see, everything was cleaned up, ready to go back in for the 5.3 on the last minute Hail Mary. But I'd like to take that stuff, put it in here, put a set of heads on it, stock casting heads, and get back to running this SBE at some point. I know what you're thinking, that's completely ridiculous to have a built motor and an SBE motor, but the truth is that I really enjoy the SBE stuff and seeing how far we can take it, and I don't just want to like live my whole life with a built motor. So that's the plan. Run the 370 for a while, enjoy it, see if we can set some new PBs with the car, get the SBE motor put back together, have it sitting on a stand here as a backup and or as a let's see how fast we can go on an SBE, because if you've been around a while, I never got that 4-second pass. So that's the plan for now. I'm actively looking for a race to take this car to either this weekend or next weekend, see how we do. I know it's a super lame video of me just walking around my garage giving you an update, but I don't want to leave you all hanging after last week's escapades, and I just didn't have it in me to make another dyno video because it was like Groundhog Day. I'm like, I can't put a third dyno video in a row. The same thing, like goes in the trailer, comes out of the trailer, goes on the dyno, blows up. So I just want to get everybody caught up. That's where we are. I think this thing's ready to go. Hopefully the next video takes place at the racetrack. Stand by.